It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds, having ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. Thursday evening, our second half of our Thursday night doubleheader. We've got our dear friend Mike Simonelli, retired Army combat veteran, New York police officer. Mike, it is so good to have you on the phone. It's been a while since we've had you, man. And it's good to have you tonight. I was telling you before the show, we've got to make this more of a regular occurrence and not have so many months and years in between visits, man. You're like some of my relatives I don't see for 5 years at a time. So it's good to see you tonight.
I know how that is. That's just like with my soldiers. You don't see each other for years, and then when you get together, it's like you've never been apart.
That's it, buddy. Look, I appreciate you being on tonight. We got a lot to talk about. Hey, I'm going to play a video before we get to talking, and we're on audio tonight, but I do want to show this video to the audience, and I know most people have seen of this horrific, absolutely horrific attack on this lady just a few days ago by these illegals. I'm going to play this real quick, and then I'm going to get you to chime in on it because lawlessness is abounding in the Big Apple, man. Roll the tape, and they're going to see this right here. This is a woman being dragged by this moped, and here it comes right here. They're dragging this lady, slammed her up against the pole there. From what I understand, they took her phone. They hacked into all her accounts, and it's not just her. But this moped gang, Mike, is basically they are evidently smart kids because they've been hacking into people's accounts, and that's from the New York Post there. They've been hacking into people's accounts, stealing their money, very sophisticated, and every single one of these bastards are illegals. Every freaking one of them, thanks to Eric Adams, thanks to Governor Holkey. And I got to ask you a question off the bat. Is it rich that your mayor and the governor is out there crying crocodile tears over the fact that these illegals shouldn't be there when they support a sanctuary state, sanctuary city policy, Mike, that pretty much puts a welcome sign and a bullseye on New York City to say, come on in and rape our city, correct?
It sure does. And it's especially hypocritical of them and ironic when they run on these platforms of saying they're going to support minorities and help minorities. So in New York City, I know the New York Police Department is overwhelming. It's a majority minority department. And having grown up in the city, I know my public school was majority minority. So I'm going to say there's a substantial amount of minorities in New York City. And here, these officials that run and win on campaigns that they're going to take care of those minorities are now handing over their tax-paying dollars to illegals and letting them get away with crimes because of the police reform laws that they passed, such as bail reform, discovery. The newest thing is how many stops laws. So they're doing everything possible to empower criminals and illegal criminals, while the citizens, law-abiding citizens of New York City, New York State, are the ones that suffer.
Mike, when you saw that video, I know that things have been bad. Look, New York City's New York City. There's always been a history of crime in that area. I know that under Giuliani, he did his best to, quelch some of it, but it's always been a hotbed. But have you ever, in all your years being a New Yorker, seen the amount of violence that has erupted since these illegals have been allowed to run rampant over the country? And look, I'm not laying it all on their doorstep. Crime was part of New York City's DNA for a long time, but it has exploded, man. This has gone on steroids, and the sophistication of it all. And I guess what bothers me is this punk kid. I'm going to put this picture up again that we had from the other night. We had somebody we were talking, it may have been, I can't remember who we had last week. I'm getting old, Mike, so I can't remember. I'm pretty sad I can't remember a guest that I have on my own show. Pretty sad, isn't it? But this punk kid that had his middle finger up, here he is right here. This is the award-winning Birdman of the Year. He gets arrested. He's shooting a bird. And, it just seems like that's what the illegals are doing to our country. But have you ever seen it as bad in your state and city that you see it tonight?
Well, Chris, first I'd like to say that punk giving the bird is symbolic of what our politicians, our elected officials in New York are doing to the American people.
Absolutely.
So it's perfect. And as far as how it's being the worst that I've ever seen, I grew up in Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s under the crack epidemic, and you just didn't go into Manhattan. You stayed away from Times Square. And it did get cleaned up under Giuliani, big time. In fact, we say Times Square got Disney-fied, and that's because the police were supported by the mayor, by the city council, by the public to do their jobs, and they did them, and they cleaned up New York, and it was safe. I mean, people from all around the world would go to New York for vacations and not think twice about it. Now, let me tell you, there are police officers outside of New York City in municipalities in the suburbs that won't go into the city, and they're allowed to carry a weapon. But what's going to happen if they end up seeing something, and the odds keep increasing that they will see some kind of violent action? If they get involved, you know who is going to be prosecuted?
The police.
It's going to be the off-duty officer. Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. But Mike, is that not a travesty of justice on the highest scale? That's I'm going to tell you what that is, my friend. That's the collapse of society. Because if the law enforcement agencies of our country cannot uphold the law, brother, you got lawlessness. And when you have lawlessness, you have no government, you have no society, you got no safety. And Mike, it's pretty pathetic. like you said, that if police officers who are armed don't feel safe going into downtown New York, what the living hell are the citizens feeling tonight going to get a gallon of milk down at the local 7-Eleven, man? I mean, it's a freaking war zone. I would be scared to death to go out at night. I mean, I think it's turned into a, what was that movie, Escape from New York, with Kurt Russell back in the 70s and 80s? And it was basically a colony, and they had quarantined it for all the criminals. It's pretty much what you got going on tonight, isn't it?
It's on that path. I joke around and say I'm going to retire from my police job, and then I'm going to start a business where I ferry people back and forth to New York City. Yeah. Because it's not going to be safe to go there unless you're with somebody who's armed and capable and authorized. But that opens me up to a whole bunch of liabilities because, like I said, they're going to go after the police. They go after the law-abiding citizens who defend themselves. You saw it with Daniel Penny trying to help out. You saw it with the bodega owner being robbed by a guy with a weapon who ends up using justified deadly force and then was initially arrested and put in Rikers by Alvin Bragg. So they're empowering this lawlessness. They want it.
Without a doubt. Let me ask you about Bragg, because this really pissed me off too when these punks, the same punk that we just showed, and we were talking about it before the network, there's rumors tonight, can't confirm it, Fox was reporting this morning that ICE arrested these kids. They had gotten on a bus because Mr. Bragg, Mr. Wonderful Alvin Bragg, and I put wonderful in extreme quotations, he's nothing but a piece of trash to me, but he let these boys go with no bail, let them walk out of the courtroom with no bond whatsoever, and they get on a bus, they go to California with illegal, basically, passports, illegal IDs that they have gotten, and money that I don't know where they got that from, but God knows where. Probably from Eric Adams and his credit card that he seems to like to give to illegals. And and then we heard today they may have been arrested in Arizona, but they shouldn't have been allowed to leave the jail, Mike, because of Alvin Bragg and his crap. And then you got him prosecuting Trump on a bogus BS trial for political purposes. My question to you is, where in the hell is Kathy Hochul? That is her job. She should fire his ass tonight. Would not let him hit the door in the back of his backside. He should be gone. Gone. Why? And it's gotta be infuriating to the people in New York to watch this travesty go on, because he is the gatekeeper, is he not?
He is in that realm as the district attorney. However, the New Yorkers are getting exactly what they voted for out of Alvin Bragg and Governor Hochul.
That's true.
That's like the 15% of people that do vote, which is a travesty in and of itself. But I think what you're seeing, it's Democrats across the board, and you know what? They stick together. So you have to give them that. Whereas he's in the wrong, she's been in the wrong, and then, Biden's in the wrong, and even, Mayor Adams flirted around the edges of almost criticizing Biden's open border policy, but ultimately they all stick together and they back each other, just like they did with Mayorkas voting not to impeach him. And you even have a few rhinos that cross the aisle and don't do it as well.
It's well said, buddy. Speaking of Hochul and Adams, is it a fair statement to say that they are really the ones that are responsible for this more than even Bragg, because they do hold the power of the state? And I'm with you about the voters. Look, I'm trying not to, look, people are people. They can choose what they want to do, but we ultimately choose the leaders we want, Mike. And as New Yorkers chose the governor, and they chose this Adams character. And again, it infuriated me this morning when I heard that, again, when this credit card thing that he's given, I don't know what you call it, a food card or something, but it was to the tune of $54 million, I think, that they have basically budgeted for in New York for these illegals who are basically going into housing. My hometown of Atlanta has got a squatting problem tonight, that these illegals are going into homes that people are supposedly putting up for rent and they're vacant. They're finding them, breaking into them, squatting, and then when the people find out about it, they're literally having to pay these people to get out or sue them, which takes a year under Georgia law. Brother, this is the collapse of the American. It's not even the American dream, brother. It's American nightmare. But Mike, the governor could step in and stop this immediately, Eric Adams could stop it. Could they not? Or am I just being naive and believing that our leaders are supposed to be doing what the will of the people are?
I think we're all naive in thinking that, and that they took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and to work on the behalf of the security of our citizens, right? But they don't do that. I mean, if you look at what they actually do, they could all be impeached for how they're endangering all of our lives, from the illegals and then to the criminals that are American citizens, and how they just let them go, knowing full well that many of them, they're not first-time offenders, nonviolent offenders. These are recidivist, violent offenders, and yet they get bailed again and again. And then when there's a school shooting, those Democrat politicians will cry about gun laws, but they're the same people that are letting criminals with convictions of illegal firearms go. They let them loose.
Right.
So total hypocrisy. They're pushing this lawlessness. I could tell you, we were talking a bunch of cops the other day, and it is a horrible time to be in law enforcement, and it's a great time to be a criminal. I heard a pursuit started the other day, and within a minute, the pursuit was shut down, and it was confirmed a switch plate stolen vehicle. But that's it. They don't want to face the chance that perp fleeing from the police ends up hitting somebody or getting hurt themselves, and then open up more liability and lawsuits against the department and more bad press.
Well, I want to ask you this about the police, because I know that Adams, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was originally one of these defund the police types, and he's a former police officer himself, correct?
Well, I mean, in name, he was a police officer.
I got
you. I've spoken to city cops, and in his career, I think he had a total of 8 or 9 arrests.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. As a city cop, you pretty much have to walk around with your eyes closed not to get that many arrests in a year. Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Well, would you have any idea how many of these illegal aliens are coming from Texas? Because I know Abbott has pretty much shut things down. He's basically put them on these buses and shipped them to New York, and they don't like their own medicine, Mike. Illinois and Martha's Vineyard. And I had to laugh so hard last year when I think it was about 100 of these illegals showed up at Martha Vineyard, and man, those rich elites, they went ape crap crazy, man. They were ready to call it Armageddon. They thought the second coming of Jesus had taken place and the world had ended. But is the New Yorkers getting a taste of what Texas has been getting a taste of? And I don't guess they don't like the taste of the special sauce, do they?
No, they sure don't. You know, careful what you ask for. You want to say you're a sanctuary city? We're going to hold you to it. And I'm glad that Governor Abbott did that, and DeSantis and anybody else that's sending them, because that's what they said they wanted. But who's ultimately paying, though? Like you said, it was a $53 million pilot program because they're handing out prepaid credit cards to the illegals. Who signed an affidavit that they promised to only use it to buy food and stuff for their children?
Oh, they're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. That lady is saying that, about $1,000 a month on their cards. And then I heard this morning that for the actual homeless in New York, like people that are actually homeless and they're needing food, $250 if they're lucky. If they're lucky, they get $250. The veterans get about that much. And Mike, that is, that's the other thing. You're not just a police officer. You're a retired Army combat veteran. And this has got to be a literal slap in the face to all veterans that have served this country valiantly, defended freedom, defended our democracy. Many families have lost loved ones defending this democracy, defending this republic. And then they see this absolute collapse of society because of leadership. And it's got to not just sting from the police side, but it's also got to sting from the veterans, because we are treating our veterans like a bunch of dogs as compared to these illegals. And it burns me up. I'm part of a veteran family. Look, my brother's retired Air Force. My dad was retired Navy. We're a family that understands the service to our nation, and it's got to hurt.
Chris, it feels like been betrayed. We feel like we're betrayed by our elected officials. When we take the oath and we serve, we actually do put our lives on the line knowingly, and that's part of the job, and we're happy to do it because we know ultimately we're making the world a safer place for Americans and for other law-abiding people. And what do our electeds do? All they have to do is make decisions, policy decisions, have the courage to stand up to a room full of angry people. Usually the radicals are angry about some kind of policy that will actually make sense. They don't have the courage to do that. And what's most important to them isn't doing the right thing by the American citizens. It's their next election. So we completely been failed by our elected officials. And that's something that really needs to change. And until it does, until we first get 100% people out there voting and people being held accountable for what they do as electeds, and that means a whole lot more impeachments and also term limits. There's a lot of things that need to change.
Do you think that the people of New York have gotten so disgusted? Because this is a tough question to answer, because ultimately we don't know what's going through the mind of the voters. But do you think that the people of New York City, the people of New York in general, have gotten sick now to the point that they are going to make a change? Because, Mike, it just seems like these Democrat leaders, these liberal leaders, get in power. I think of de Blasio, what a freaking communist he was, and yet he got reelected twice. You've got this Eric Adams. You've got Kathy Hochul, who turned out to be worse than Cuomo if you get down to it. And Absolutely. It's just they keep putting these same people in. And do you think that this illegal immigration, this illegal alien situation may be the catalyst for major changes in the election box come November?
I hope so. It might be the one thing that turns the minority populations in New York City against the Democrats, because they're seeing, and my cousin was one of them. My nephew was taken out of his school in Brooklyn because they put the illegals in it.
I heard about that.
That was, just minutes away from my old neighborhood where I still have family. So this is affecting their base, which is also why we know that the ultimate goal is to make these a voting bloc, the Democrats. And in fact, the New York City Council in 2021 had voted to give the illegal aliens voting rights in New York City, but it was ultimately the next year struck down by a judge. But that's, they make no bones about it.
Yeah, they make no bones about it. I was reading tonight, and maybe you can help me with this, 62 women have been sexually assaulted in the last 3 or 4 months in New York City. That's the other thing that people don't want to talk about, Mike, is the brutality of these crimes. These are real serious crimes. This is not illegal aliens taking a little glass and, busting out glass or shoplifting at the local grocery store. They are assaulting, raping, murdering, stealing. And again, if anybody, if the law was being upheld, these people would be on death penalty cases, some of them, because of the murder and the rape that they're doing. And that's what is scary tonight. Do you? And I know you've got your ear to the ground on this. How's the morale of the police as they face this war? Because, Mike, it's almost like terrorism to me. It's like a form of terrorism. What's going on in New York and other states tonight?
Well, it's 100% terrorism for the victims. And
absolutely, it is.
As you're talking about those women, I can tell you, not everybody coming over illegally comes from the greatest cultures that have the same standards and principles that we do for life, for liberty, for respect of one another. And they won't tell you this because it's bad publicity, but a significant amount of the sex crimes that departments in New York are seeing involve people from the South American, Central American, Northern Triangle countries, where part of their culture is to rape their niece, their nephew, the young woman, that's in the house that they're all living in. But you don't hear about the numbers on that. They'll harp all day about the numbers on the race stats of who the police are pulling over, even when that's happening in the middle of the night and the officer has no idea what the race is. But they won't mention anything about the prevalence of sexual deviancy and crimes being committed against women and children by the people coming here illegally.
Yeah. Mike, I'm going to ask you a political question. If Mike Simonelli was in charge of the situation tonight relating to the border, I'm going to give you my take on this. I think if we don't shut this border down completely soon, we're going to be beyond a point of no return. I'm not so sure we ain't already. Look, you're going to have to round these people up. You're going to have to deport them. But to be able to round them up, you got to stop the inflow. I believe if we don't shut this thing down to all immigration right now, I'm sorry, look, we cannot even afford. Look, since fiscal year 24 began, which was basically September the 1st, till now, we've had over 2 million people come across this border. That alone is more than all of the 4 years under President Trump. And the last 3 months, 2 months, there's been more than all of last year, 22, 21 combined. So there's an invasion going on, and we got to stop it. But if you had the reins to do something for the border, what would be your maybe top 1 or 2 things that you would do?
Well, I reenact the Trump policies of the first safe nation where people come through. They have to then apply for their visas or amnesty from. But I would you have to have the physical structures in place. Physical security works. That's why people with a lot of money have nice big walls and fences and guards and stuff like that. We have the money. We have the capability. We had the border wall being built, and then the Biden administration wasted millions of dollars letting the steel barricades just sit there and get rusted. And we have troops. We have National Guard. We have citizens that were volunteers. You secure the borders, absolutely shut them down, and you have the pathways for citizenship that we've always had. It's supposed to be something that people work hard for. It's a privilege. It's not a right to be an American citizen. So 100%, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. So why is it that we spend millions of dollars or tens of millions to other countries for them to secure their borders, but we don't take care of our own? I can tell you, when I was in Iraq, in my unit, we came across 24 illegals crossing over from Iran into Iraq to then fight against our troops. Once we reported that to headquarters and it got to General Petraeus, that became top priority. We then had a new mission securing the border with Iran. Why isn't that the top priority for America? It's
because you've got leadership that is not leadership. They're basically betrayers. I mean, That's exactly what they're doing. A couple of other things, not necessarily about New York, but it really affects the whole country. I know you've heard that Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin, and Hillary's out there claiming that, Tucker's such an evil man, and there's pictures with him, with her, I'm sorry, I said him, her, with Xi of China, and Biden with China, and Gavin Newsom with China. Like, the Chinese are not dangerous, but Putin is the ultimate Antichrist, and I'm no fan of Vladimir Putin, but look, there's nothing wrong with Tucker Carlson interviewing who he wants to sit down with him. That's Tucker Carlson. But these people are shaking hands with the Chinese and screwing us up the back, Mike. I mean, it's got to make you laugh. It's a joke.
They laugh right in our face. That's who's laughing, Chris.
That's right.
The Bidens have $100 million of deals that Hunter worked together with his uncle, and somehow kickbacks are going, it appears, to the president. And they're criticizing Tucker Carlson for, as a journalist, speaking with President Putin. That's insane.
That's insane. Absolutely, it's insane. What was your thoughts tonight about the special counsel report basically saying Joe Biden's lost his natural-born freaking mind? That's why they're not going to prosecute him in this classified documents. And then Joe gets on television tonight, and he angrily attacks the special counsel and says, how the hell dare he say that I'm mentally unstable? And Joe, he just gave you a get-out-of-jail-free card, man. I'd shut up, because you should be in federal prison for what you did.
Yeah, the poor guy, but who let him out of his baby, the cage with his diaper on? He's not good enough. He's not capable of being prosecuted, but he's capable of being the president.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this about President Trump, Mike. Do you think that any of these cases stick with him? Do you think that they're going to try to, of all the cases that they've got, I don't see any of them going anywhere, but it's going to tie his hands a little bit. But what has been your thoughts about all this travesty? Because we're talking about justice tonight in many ways, buddy. And you got these punks being let go by Alvin Bragg with no bond, but yet they're crucifying Trump over things that everybody, including Joe Biden, gets away with. They're trying to get Trump on this document stuff too. Joe Biden goes in, don't even get as much as a misdemeanor charge, and now they're going to try to kick Trump off the ballot and put him in federal prison for the rest of his life for the same thing, correct?
Yeah, we're basically a third world country, Chris. If you want to be totally honest, when you see the open border, you see the hell going on in New York City with the illegal migrant gangs, and then you see how lawfare is being used to go after a presidential candidate, unlike we've ever had before. I mean, there was always bitter races and dirty politics, but they've taken it to a new level the way they go after Trump. with all these different lawsuits, the civil lawsuits as well, where he just lost a judgment of, I think, $80-something million. He's going to have to appeal. I'm hearing the next one is in the hundreds of millions that they're thinking he's going to get hit with. So total lawfare, total third world country. And you know what it is? If the people like us were actually to rise up and start to resist the way our forefathers would have already done tenfold over, it's you or I that would end up going to jail.
Right. That's exactly right, Mike. Couple of other quick things, and I'll let you go tonight. Listen, where do you see this illegal alien situation going in New York? What do you see the governor and the mayor doing? Do they do anything? Do they just keep playing theater in front of cameras, and it's still going to just... Because, that was the thing, one of the commentators made the point this morning that talk is cheap. They get out there and they cry crocodile tears, but deep down inside, they support these policies. And to the people in New York tonight, is there any relief coming from this, or pretty much has it been turned over to the illegal aliens who are here lawlessly and murderers, rapists, and assaulters?
I don't see them changing their tune. I think what they try to do, and they've already been trying this, but they're getting pushback from the surrounding suburbs. They try to farm them out into the suburbs. And we do have those middle-of-the-night flights that sometimes we're not aware of, but they're not going to change their tune. This is their agenda. They want these people here. They welcome them. They have no problem giving our money to them. So I don't see anything changing there.
How concerned are you for the safety of the people?
I'm definitely concerned. You really have to be watching over your back. Like I wouldn't want a woman to ride the trains or go walk around New York City at night. And now I've seen the videos of even the daytimes where the people are so brazen and they're robbing them, they're beating them, and people aren't coming to their rescue because they're afraid for their own safety. So, yeah, it's a tough time to be in New York City.
It is a tough time. Buddy, you got any thoughts before we wrap it up? Anything you want to share with the people that we need to know? Have you been doing anything unique with your line of work? Is there anything else going on in New York and the Northeast that people might need to know about?
No, to be honest, Chris, myself, I've been laying low. I've been punished for the last 3 years because I spoke out in favor of our police against the BLM movement. And it hurt me in my career. So I've just been kind of quiet. This is the first show I've done in quite some time. I'd just like to say thank you to you and to your audience for being on the right side of the facts and history and being a strong voice out there because we need more people like you and the audience.
Well, we need people like you, Mike. We thank you for coming on tonight. And I will say this, our prayers for the police, because I know the morale has got to be the lowest it's been in a long time, and that was my final question to you tonight is, what are you hearing from fellow police officers that, how are they feeling about all this, and is there any recourse they've got? I mean, are they pretty much tied to this bureaucracy that is putting them on the line to get killed? Because this is dangerous for the people, but I think what people may or may not understand, it's dangerous for police officers because they are the ones having to enforce laws that they're not able to enforce, brother. And if you can't get the criminals in cuffs, and that beating, we mentioned the kid shooting the bird. The whole reason they arrested them they were beating cops, they were beating police officers, and assaulting them. And look, it's not just dangerous for the citizenry. It's, as you said, there's police that don't even want to go into these areas. And one quick question: of all the areas in the boroughs of New York, what would you maybe name as the most dangerous? Brooklyn, Midtown, or where would you say would be the ground zero for all of this violence?
Well, there's certain neighborhoods in each borough that are very dangerous, have a history of being the most violent. I think what you're seeing in the paper and the news is the Midtown area where the illegals are. But there's areas that have traditionally just been violent for decades. But to the point of the police morale, and you're talking about that beating that we saw by the illegals, that was 5 to, I think, 7 illegals have been locked up for it. Jumping as a gang 2 police officers who, if you pay attention, they use nothing but their hands. They have weapons. They have a use of force that can be escalated between the mace, their asps, taser, and a firearm. They didn't use any of those, while they were justified to go all the way up to a deadly force, because, you know, at least once a year for the past 5 years, one cop or more has been killed either with their own weapon or beaten to death. So how did these officers know that one of those football, you know, punt kicks wasn't going to catch them in the face, knock them out, and then the perps, the illegals, were going to grab their firearm and execute them? They don't know that, but the cops are too afraid to escalate up the force continuum because they know it's the bullseye's on their back, not on the criminals and not on the illegal criminals.
Yeah. What's your thoughts of the upcoming election? Are you confident we've gotten rid of the fraud enough that we're going to have fair elections in November?
No, I saw something by a Citizens New York audit that showed the amount of fraud was exponentially greater than the amount that would have necessitated them to redo the election, to throw it out. So I think unless you go to the regular ballots and get rid of this whole computerized system, the fraud's going to be there, because they have algorithms that can change all the numbers in the system. Yeah.
Mike, it's been a pleasure tonight, buddy, and I thank you so much. And listen, you know you got an open forum here always. Welcome, Matt. Is always out here on the McFile News Network, and we will definitely be in touch. And I've been sort of tossing an idea up. I'll share with you sometime. Maybe we can do something together on a monthly basis on the network, and we'll talk about that down the road. But listen, God bless you tonight.
Awesome.
And listen, be safe up there, and our prayers for the city of New York and also the state as well, and all the citizens. Because I do know this, what I've been told by a lot of people, it's just New York City. That suburb of New York City is awful blue. But out in the country, if you get out in the country of New York is actually a very conservative state. People may not realize that, but it's actually quite conservative out in the most of the parts. And I know we got folks that's part of this network in Long Island and precious people, and they're good people, Mike. There's good people in New York, and a lot of good people are suffering because of the evil of a few, and it's sad. It really is tonight.
You're 100% right. Big red areas, upstate and Long Island, lots of good people. Even people in the city, a lot of good people there.
I know,
but they're being destroyed. Their lives are being destroyed by those that are on the socialist, very illiberal side. But I appreciate the prayers and thank you, and God bless you and your audience as well.
Mike, take care of yourself. We'll be in touch, buddy. God bless. Have a good night.
Chris.
Thank you again.
You too.
Mike Simonelli, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. What a good guy there. And I'm so grateful that he was able to come on tonight. And as you said, he's not been doing a lot of interviews lately, and but I sure am glad that he came on our network tonight. And we're here. We're actually going to come on the camera tonight as we wrap this up on this Thursday night. And we hope that you enjoyed Mike. And he's a good man. He's a good man. We've had him on a couple of times, and he told me he really didn't feel like coming on video for some health issues, but we're grateful that he came on tonight to talk to us, and he did a great job. And I know this, words probably fail to describe the horror and the depth of this evil that is going on in New York City. Mike can only tell you from ground zero. We got Jennifer Harrison coming up next week or next week after. She's up there as well. And so forth. And we are, that was my brother. My brother don't even watch my show. If he's watching my show, he would know not to call his older brother while his older brother's on the network. But anyway, you gotta love family. Anyway, Mike probably can only put into words so much the depth of this evil that is going on in the heart of the New York big city. And this lawlessness, folks, is not just in New York City. This is rampant across the country tonight. And I will tell you this, that scene that we showed you is coming to a town near you. This is going to affect the entire country. There's not going to be any parts of the country. I saw somebody in tonight from the middle of Idaho, and we welcome you tonight. We see some new names, and if you're new to our show tonight, we want to welcome you here. We're grateful that you're here tonight. We really are. But I think all of us, it doesn't matter how red your state is, how blue your state is, this is a sign of things to come until we get this border situation straightened out. And folks, I'm just going to be honest with you tonight, and I don't want to sound like a killjoy. I don't want to sound negative. I just don't think that the politicians on either side of the aisle have the stomach to do what is right and what is going to be necessary to fix this. I just don't. If President McDonald was in charge tonight, there would be an instant moratorium on that border. That border would be shut down immediately. The states could do it. Abbott is trying to do it. He's done as good a job as you can. Look, I've had mixed feelings about Abbott. But in this case, I'm behind Greg Abbott 1,000,000%. I stand with Texas tonight. I was just out there, some precious people. We got a lot of listeners from Texas that watch this network. And I stand with him 1,000,000% what he's trying to do. And I will just say this, before you criticize Abbott, put yourself in his place. I know he's not made every decision right. There ain't a leader out there that will ever make every decision right. This is a no-win. And look, the things that have been thrust on him, you can't blame it all on him. It goes to the top. Federal policy, federal government policy has tied his hands to a degree. I know that during the Trump years, he did a lot of things that he probably, if he rethought them, he probably wouldn't have done, as all leaders do. And my prayers are with him. But you got states like New Mexico that's opening their border wide open. Arizona's opening theirs wide open because now things are shifting west because Abbott has basically shut the border down in Texas for the most part. He's basically built the wall that Trump tried to build. He's just done it on a state level instead of a federal level. But now the illegals are shifting to California, Arizona, and New Mexico because you got governors in those states that are welcoming them with open arms. And you New Yorkers, I love you, but this is on your leadership. This is on your leadership, and you're getting a taste of what Texas has been tasting, New Mexico, all these southern border states. And I want to remind you what Brad Johnson talked about Tuesday night, folks. It's not just the South. It's just northern border as well. We're under an invasion. We're just under an invasion. And this lawlessness is going to just get worse. And these things are coming to a city near you. I would give you some just friendly friend-to-friend advice tonight. Watch your money. Watch your bank accounts. Make sure your information is protected on your phones. These hackers, this moped gang, this same gang that you saw drag that woman with that moped, the leader of this moped gang is evidently pretty smart with computers. And what they're doing, they're driving by mopeds, grabbing people's purses, grabbing people's phones, taking their phones, and people have got their whole life on their phone, and bank accounts are being emptied out immediately. So this is a dangerous situation in New York. Please be diligent and be safe. A couple of things tonight before we say goodnight to you. Here is a 4-minute clip of Tucker Carlson's interview with the one and only Vladimir Putin tonight. I'll just let the interview speak for itself. Roll the tape.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have? I did not blow up Nord Stream.
Vladimir's laughing at America.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби. У вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
Знаете,
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
But I'm confused. I mean, that's the biggest act of industrial terrorism ever. and it's the largest emission of CO2 in history. Okay, so if you had evidence, and presumably given your security services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this, why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media.
Now, I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm saying this, folks, we're no fan of Vladimir Putin. But what he just said is true. What he just said is true. The United States and our media is a bunch of pathetic liars. They just are. And they twist words and they twist stories for their narrative and for their own agenda. That man right there, look, he's no choir boy. He's not a bastion of great ethics. He's a killer. He's a KGB killer. I don't know what's going on with him in Ukraine. It's a regional situation. Ukraine is as corrupt as can be. We're throwing money at Ukraine like lollipops and popcorn. And we're trying to equate this conflict with Russia into this great all or nothing. If we don't support Ukraine in this, the whole world is going to crumble. But what he just said there is what I wanted to get to. Vladimir Putin understands our media more than we do. And again, Tucker's doing journalism as it should be done. He goes to Putin to talk to him. And the world has demonized Putin to the point, America demonized him during the Trump years. That's what the Dems did. Everything was Russia, 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 Russia. No China, mind you, who was actually a real threat. I'm not saying Russia's not a threat, folks, but our real threat is this illegal alien invasion. And by the way, it's no coincidence that Biden went on a rant tonight. That rant I was telling you about the documents, it came out at the same hour that this video was released tonight on Tucker's X account, or Twitter, the old Twitter, but now X. No coincidence that he took the attention off of this to rant about the document case. I'm going to play about a minute more of this, and I got some other things to share with you. We're going to
The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So it is possible to get involved in this work, but it is cost prohibitive, so to speak. We can simply shine the spotlight on our sources of information, and we will not achieve results. It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly. It's true.
Yes, but here's a question you may be able to answer. You worked in Germany, famously. The Germans clearly know that their NATO partner did this, and it damaged their economy greatly. It may never recover. Why are they being silent about it? That's very confusing to me. Why wouldn't the Germans say something about it?
This also confuses me. But today's German leadership is guided by the interests of the collective West rather than its national interests. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain the logic of their action or inaction. After all, it is not only about Nord Stream 1, which was blown up, and the Nord Stream 2 was damaged. But one pipe is safe and sound, and gas can be supplied to Europe through it. But Germany does not open it. We are ready, please. There's another route through Poland, called Yamal Europe, which also allows for large flow. Poland has closed it, but Poland packs from the German hand. It receives money from the pan-European funds, and Germany is the main donor to these pan-European funds. Germany feeds Poland to a certain extent, and they close their route to Germany. Why? I don't understand. Ukraine, to which the Germans supply weapons and give money. Germany is the second sponsor of the United States in terms of financial aid to Ukraine. There are two gas routes through Ukraine. They simply closed one route, the Ukrainians. Open the second route and please get gas from Russia. They do not open it. Why don't the Germans say? Look, guys, we give you money and weapons. Open up the valve, please. Let the gas from Russia pass through for us. We're buying liquefied gas at exorbitant prices in Europe,
Втридорого покупаем сжиженный газ.
which brings the level of our competitiveness and economy in general down to zero.
До нуля.
Do you want us to give you money?
Хотите, чтобы мы-
Let us have the decent existence. Make money for our economy, because this is where the money we give you comes from.
Почему?
They refuse to do so. Why? Ask them.
Что здесь, что...
That is what is like in their heads.
Вы знаете,
Those are highly incompetent people.
And that is one Vladimir Putin. Think what you will of him, and I've got my opinion about it. Again, we're not extolling Vladimir Putin as a man or as a person. I'm fully aware, and I'm not naive to believe that he's a choir boy. He's not. But the one that was demonized tonight was not Vladimir Putin. The one that's being demonized tonight is Tucker Carlson. Hillary Clinton has been out there tonight calling him a lapdog, useful idiot. The media is going ape crap crazy over the fact that Tucker went to Russia and Putin. Look, it's not like Tucker put a gun to Putin's head. Putin allowed him to come to Russia and sit down and talk to him. And I just wonder if America would have talked to Putin and not threatened him if this war with Ukraine would have even taken place. And I would surmise tonight, and I would say this, if President Trump would have been in office, I don't believe this Russia thing would have ever escalated with Ukraine like it has. We have sunk billions of American taxpayer money into this useless war. And that's what warmongers do. I know that the common wisdom is that Putin's this madman, he's unhinged, he is out there, he's crazy, he's a demon, and all of this, and I've heard all of it. But nobody talks about the madman in Ukraine called Zelensky, who you could basically say the same thing about, and he's probably that on steroids. But we have, again, because we call evil good and good evil, and in this case, you got two evils. Neither one are good. But what we've done is that we have equated that man as being the devil and being evil. And it's drawn America into a conflict we've got no business being in. We've got no business being in. The free world is not at stake, folks, because Russia is not going to restore itself in its glory. And it's a regional situation. And again, had Trump been in office, this would have been handled differently. There would have been a phone call made to Vladimir Putin before this even took place. So when you hear the Dems demonize Tucker Carlson, I just want to show you something tonight that they don't want you to see. And breaking, Tucker Carlson met with the leader of our biggest enemy. Oh, wait. There's Gavin Newsom. That was just a few months ago. By the way, Mike mentioned this. Mike mentioned the fact that Gavin Newsom was cleaning up the turd piles in San Francisco before Z came over and visited him, and he hid the homeless so Z wouldn't look at California as a third world freaking nation, and that's what it's come. It's become a slum area under Gavin Newsom. But that picture is never posted on liberal sites. No, the only thing that's going to be posted on liberal news sites is going to be Tucker Carlson sitting down with Vladimir Putin. But folks, make no mistake about this tonight. This is your enemy. This is America's real enemy. Let me just rephrase that. The devil is America's real enemy. And the devil is twisting narratives for the sake of bringing this country into a war. And while our distracted minds are in 10 million other places right now, and this illegal alien invasion is going on, and again, those kids holding their middle fingers up to us, I love what Mike said, and I said it Tuesday night too. That's what the politicians are doing to us all. And the leadership, that's what Gavin Newsom, in that picture right there, he's sticking his middle finger up to America and saying, screw you, I don't care what you think, this is my friend. Who is our enemy? Who is our enemy? Do I believe Vladimir Putin cares about America? No, I don't. No, I don't. But I tell you what, he's not made any overt threats to America. America is making overt threats to him. We're trying to pick a fight with somebody that don't want to fight, while we're letting this man's country run all over us and destroy us from inside. And that's just the way it is. All righty. One other quick thing. I love this poll tonight. This is excellent. And I'm going to say goodnight after this. I got a lot more to say, but we'll pick it up. Who is doing the most damage to America? This is a liberal actor, Russell Brand. By the way, Joe Biden, the only election that he's won, 94% of, this is a liberal Twitter handle. This ain't a conservative. 94%, 2.1 thousand people voted. No, I take that back, 503,000 votes. So nearly 400,000 people says Joe Biden has done more damage to America than Vladimir Putin and Tucker. Vladimir and Tucker only got 6% combined. Keep that poll in mind. I know it's not scientific. It don't mean nothing. But 3,000 people votes, that's 500,000 folks. 94% says Joe Biden's the threat. He's out there saying Trump's the threat tonight. And the double standard of this witch hunt on these documents and what Bragg did with these punks up in New York City. And I guarantee you, folks, if they catch these kids that were on that moped, they're not going to do nothing to them. They're not going to do nothing to them. You New Yorkers, you better Katie bar the door and protect your families at all costs and be safe up there. You better be safe. You better be safe. That's all I got to say. You got to say. Joanne says, we've been served up a huge dose of reality. Yes, you have, Joanne. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. We hope you've enjoyed a special McFile Thursday night. We want to thank Mike Simonelli again for being with us. We will cover these stories again next week. We've got a brand new guest coming Tuesday night, Ryan Zink. He is a candidate in the 25th District of Texas. We're going to talk with Ryan about the border. We've got Ricky Wilson coming Monday night. I'm excited to have Ricky. And then Doreen Outdoory will be our guest Wednesday night for a special McFiles Faith Chat. We hadn't had one of those in a while. She's got some things on her heart she wants to share. And now next week, a week from tomorrow night, we will be in Jacksonville, Florida at the the Ramada Conference Center at 3130 Hartley Street in Jacksonville, as we will have a Friday night, Saturday crusade. Not a crusade, it's a conference. It's not really a crusade. Saturday is going to be 4 sessions, about an hour long apiece. Come out and be with us. Friday night, we're going to talk about end-time Bible prophecy a whole weekend. Israel, her role in these things, and the land, and anti-Semitism, things like that. It's going to be a very informative weekend. We had a great time in Houston, but this is going to be even better. I'll be the one doing it. And we want you to come out and be with us if you can. We've had some of you from out of town tell us you're coming. You're welcome to come. It's free. We'll have a box at the back if you want to give. That's up to you, but it's free of charge. And we want to thank all of you that have helped us this week, because a lot of the monies that have come in are going toward this conference to put it on, and we're going to do more of these this year as the Lord provides. And it's what's needed right now, because we are living, speaking tonight with Mike, you don't have to be a Bible theologian to realize, folks, we in the last days. And things are going to get worse before they get better. And we're in the time of lawlessness, and that's what we're going to be talking about over the weekend, next weekend. But listen, as of now, no show for tomorrow night. We may change that, but we will have one more Bible study in the morning. It'll be our last time we'll be on the air tomorrow on the Faith Network in the morning. We'll see you then. And then we'll see you right back here Sunday for our Faith Bible study in the morning. And then Monday, we'll start shows again. So depending on where we're at, how we're traveling, we may have a show next Thursday night, but it's going to be sort of a sketch for the next week and a half as we do the conference. And I've got studio work coming up February 19th and 20th. It'll be audio shows only Monday night, Tuesday night. And then we got the National Religious Broadcasters Convention that we'll be at toward the end of that week. So we've got a pretty busy couple of weeks coming up in February, and we know you'll understand. That's why we try to do a couple of doubleheader shows this week to give you as much content as we can. If you like our content, please remember, send your giving, paypal.me/themcfiles, Zelle, chrismac44@gmail.com. And also you can mail us donations at P.O. Box 50942, Knoxville 37950. And we hope to see you in Jacksonville if we can. Hope to see you back here in the morning on the Faith Network. And I definitely hope to see you back here Sunday on our Faith Network. And Monday night, right here on the McFiles News Network, the one and only, Ricky Wilson. You don't want to miss Ricky. She's always bringing the fire. We appreciate you being with us tonight. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. The McMahon out on a Monday. I'm losing my mind. I'm becoming a Joe Biden. My goodness. Thursday night, the 8th day of February. By the way, I forgot to almost mention this. Tonight, if you don't think things are getting crazy and weird, Melbourne, Australia had a 4.3 earthquake. It took place 2 hours before a 4.0 earthquake hit Melbourne, Florida. Let that sink in tonight. Let me say that again. Earlier tonight, a 4.3 earthquake struck Melbourne, Australia. 2 hours after an earthquake of 4-point magnitude hit Melbourne, Florida. Now, the meaning behind that, I don't know. California's got floods, earthquakes in Melbourne, Florida, earthquakes in Melbourne, Australia. Maybe the Lord's trying to tell us something. That it's getting late. That it's getting late. And I think that's what I take away from the show tonight. Listening to Mike Simonelli and what's going on in this world, in this country. It's getting late, folks. It's getting late. And may the Lord be with you. And I'll see you tomorrow on the Faith Network and then over the weekend and next week. God bless you out there. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. Much love. Much love from this network to you tonight. We appreciate every single one of you for being with us. Thank you all for the new listeners, and thank you all for being with us again on this Thursday night. Have a good night, everybody. Pray for your country. Pray for each other. You New Yorkers, I'm being very serious with you. Please be safe. Really all of us need to do this, folks. Please protect your money right now. These hackers are doing some nasty, nasty, nasty stuff, and it's getting dangerous. It's getting very, very turbulent out there, and things are going to get worse. That's why we're here, to help see you through together. We're all in this together, and we're here to encourage and give you a rah-rah cheer. We're going to get through this together session every night. God bless you out there. I'm going to go out with my song again that some folks seem to like. I keep getting requests for it, so I'll do it again. And we hope that you have enjoyed the show. And if you have, put some fire in that house. Thank you, Mike Simonelli. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed. See you tomorrow. It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy. Hey folks, I forgot to do something, and I forgot to do it last night, and I don't want to forget to do it tonight. Let me remind you, Chris gets losing his mind sometimes. Let me remind you about our beautiful friends and sponsor at Who's Your Warrior Coffee. And I need to stop forgetting to do this. You see that little code down there? You put your cell phone on it. You can click that link on. Get some of the best coffee in the entire world. Who'sYourWarriorCoffee.com/MacFiles. You get a discount on your coffee, and it helps our network. And Natalie Corvin and the Corvin family up in Indiana, they're precious people. Precious, precious, precious people. They're a veteran-owned coffee company located in Brownsburg, Indiana. Roasted and shipped once an order is placed through the website, and you receive the freshest coffee, and a portion of every sale will be sent to the McFiles to help keep the network going. So please do that for me. And sorry for the interruption of the song, but I didn't do this last night, and I said, you got to do it tonight because you ain't going to be on here the rest of the week. Thank you, Who's Your Warrior Coffee, for being a sponsor and a friend of the McFiles Network. All righty. Let me start this song again. It's just Thursday night, the last time I'll see you anyway this week. Have a good night, everybody. It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds, having ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory, that keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me, or something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind.